what the House is saying is that until this case is resolved in court or there's a verdict on it, she can't resume. Are we looking at some sort of legal bottlenecks or, drags here?
I think the subject matter is very simple and straightforward. You see, if after the suspension by the Senate, distinguished Senator Natasha did not challenge the matter in court, and it is now 6 months, automatic resumption to the Senate, unless, of course, something else has come up. But having gone to court to challenge the suspension, and of course, a verdict was even given, which the National Assembly was not very okay with, and have gone on appeal. To me, that is not a ground, unless, of course, beyond the appeal, there is maybe a pending application seeking for an injunction to restrain the execution of that judgment. Otherwise, a mere appeal cannot serve as a stay. So I will fault the letter by the clerk of the National Assembly.
All right. So for you, the response by the National Assembly, you said you would rather fault it as a bit of overstay according to the terms of the law. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, because the law is clear. Yes, you have your right to appeal any judgment that you are not happy with, you're aggrieved about. You have the right to appeal. But while you are appealing, the judgment which has been delivered or handed over has not been set aside. What is there now is that there is an appeal challenging that judgment. Until the decision is taken by the appellate court saying that that judgment that was handed over by the trial court is wrong, that judgment has to be obeyed. That is the standard. That is the law. It is within her right to go back, and it is also not proper for the National Assembly to stop her from going back. More so that there is a judgment that have declared the suspension, the 6-month suspension, as excessive, and then the denial of the rights of the constituent that she represents. So whichever way, probably that has not been taken into effect by the clerk of the National Assembly, but if it has been taken effect and that there is no motion filed by their lawyers, then of course they have no right to, they are wrong, to stop her from resuming her duties, having spent the 6 months and then also having obtained judgment of the Federal High Court. We can outgrow all these things. A nation cannot move where people carry their personal issues and then taking advantage of the offices which they occupy and then are fighting personal and private battles. So if you look at the case of Senator Natasha, it's something that should have been settled privately, not using the office of Mr. President of the Senate to take advantage of the office or the chair which he occupies, and is using the office to settle personal scores with her. So this is actually not something that will mean well for the nation. It's also not something that will take us to the promised land as a nation. But I think we are growing in such a way that by now we should be able to get out of all these mundane way of handling situations in Nigeria. And so it's not anything that somebody will be happy with at all. No matter, yes, the paper, the letter written has stated that they have appealed. You can see that this is not really a positive move, even from the National Assembly. But for whatever reason they are doing that, all right, I think it's not helping the nation at all.
Akpabio has become the most corrupt, ineffective, rubber-stamped Senate president we've ever had. The most destructive Senate president we've ever had in Nigeria. This Senate president would do everything for his own personal benefit, including weaponizing the Senate to fight against his own colleague. How can you say, using the office of the Senate president, but as their secretary, whatever they call him, or the clerk, and say to Akpoti, you will not let her come back to work because you're appealing the case, the judgment? How is appealing a judgment stopping somebody from coming to work? This is the kind of stupidity, arrogance, and corruption we have in our National Assembly. What Akpabio has shown Nigeria is that as the number one lawmaker in the country, he does not follow the rules that they make. If there's a judicial judgment that says Natasha Akpoti needs to go back to work and you're appealing the case, why don't you let your appeal go through? If they approve your appeal, then she can go back to whatever you want her to go and do later. If you want to remove her from the Senate, that's your business. But until that judgment is rescinded, she goes back to work. But what we have is a Senate president who has no respect for the rule of law, a Senate president who has turned the National Assembly into a rubber stamp for the executive, a Senate president who approves all these excessive, unaccountable loans for the executive, a Senate president who will use the Senate, the office of the Senate president, to fight his own personal battles. What we have in Akpabio is a Senate president as corrupt as the EFCC said he was, because there are cases against him with the EFCC, but on hold because he's a Senate president. He would do everything possible to show that he is right, even though in the face of the obvious that he is wrong. How is the rest of the world perceiving Nigeria or Nigerian lawmakers because of us, Akpabio? But again, I'm not shocked, because if Bola Tinubu can do the same thing to Rivers State, Akpabio can do the same thing to another senator. This current Senate president that we have in Nigeria is the most ineffective. This 10th Senate is the most corrupt 10th Senate we've ever had. Akpabio has turned the Nigerian Senate, the Nigerian National Assembly, into a rubber stamp Senate, a National Assembly. They approve reckless loans from the executive. Don't forget, like I mentioned, corruption allegation against Akpabio, even as governor of Akwa Ibom State or during his time with NDDC. How can a man with such baggage become our number three citizen and number one lawmaker? Look at all the budget padding scandal that follows him. The most scandalous Senate president we ever had. The Senate, the National Assembly, has no independence from the executive anymore because of people like Akpabio. And then when his colleagues speak up, they try to silence them. When Natasha Akpoti spoke up, he tries to silence her. When Senator Ningi did the same thing, he tries to silence him. Remember what happened with Seriaki Dixon the other time. He tries to silence them. When Nigerians were protesting, the same Akpabio said, we can go and protest. He will be enjoying himself. What sort of leaders are these people? Where are they from? He's weaponized the Senate, used that for his own personal agenda. And now there's loss of public trust from our lawmakers because we know they are corrupt. What do we have? Melaye said it correctly. We have criminals as lawmakers. We have criminals in government. That's what they are, corrupt. I'm not saying every one of them, but most of them are there. They have no business being there. That's why they all keep quiet, because they know they're only there for their selfish reason. And that's exactly what I meant. Akpabio is the most scandalous Senate president we've ever had. The most divisive, destructive Senate president we've ever had in Nigeria. And Natasha Akpoti showed Nigerians exactly who Akpabio really is. And we should be very, very concerned, because we have lawmakers who have no respect for the rule of law. We have lawmakers who don't care about how destructive they become to our system. I mean, I'm not going to exonerate the judiciary, but Akpabio as a person showed Nigerians the kind of lawmaker he is. It lets you understand that some of these people have no business. People like Akpabio have no business being lawmakers in Nigeria. They have no business. Again, I mentioned budget padding. Don't forget that. See the way they voted to pass Tinubu's desire for state of emergency in Rivers State, both the House and the Senate, with allegations of bribery. That's the kind of system we're dealing with. So Melaye was not far from the truth when he said we have criminals in power. That's exactly what we're currently seeing. People who have no respect for the rule of law. That's our lawmakers. They make laws that they don't respect. Because when it comes to them abiding by the rules, they don't want it. They need to be above the laws of the country. And that's exactly what Akpabio is showing Nigerians. So again, Nigerians are speaking up, but the entire world is looking at us and wondering, what are people? And then we're looking at Akpabio and say, what kind of 10th Senate president is this? Put your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share. Please subscribe if you've not done so. Click on the notification icon. And also remember to recommend this channel to others. I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.